Okay.
But anyway, I wasn't sure where to discuss this in GitLab because there's so many different issues covering it.
Yeah, it's, I think we might actually even have duplicates. Some of them just seem very similar to each other. Um, yeah, so one piece of context I wanted to add was we're I'm trying to look for the issue right now, but Fabian is working on a spike issue because we want to investigate if we can move away from analyzers altogether and just ingest SBOM reports from the package managers themselves. So, for example, if we could contribute to like npm an SBOM command, I don't know if it already exists, but if say it doesn't, we can add that there, and then it would generate the SBOM with the properties. I don't know if they would be GitLab specific, so in that case, um, we might not be able to we might not be able to standardize in the future, I guess, unless we're only accepting like known Cyclone DX properties that are stable, I guess. But I don't want to bring that, I guess, at the same time, I guess we might not even end up going in that direction, right? So it's kind of a hard, I don't know what the right approach is. But it is something that kind of
Yeah.
concerns me.
Yeah, one thing is that the properties are kind of a hack to extend the Cyclone DX standard when the standard doesn't already have data that we need, right? So
Yeah.
in our case, our problem is that the Cyclone DX standard doesn't have information about the location of the package, right? Um, so we're having to use properties to specify that information. I wonder if there is actually like standardized fields that we could be using instead that we overlooked. Let me take a look. So right now we're really just using the name and the version and the type. And so in the package URL,
Yeah.
but like there's not really.
I, I think maybe the evidence might may I think that one's newer, the evidence field. I can't remember, but it might be holding some way we can track it.
Yeah, evidence.
Yeah, it's underneath components.
Uh, that's
Uh,
the one I'm looking at right now.
uh, little, yeah, there's like some component subfield. So underneath that one is evidence, I think.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, and I think there's an occurrences.
Source code analysis.
Yeah, and there's a file name as well. Is one of them.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure if that's what we're looking for though. Oh, here we go. Occurrences. This is the
Yeah.
name that we call it already.
It's gonna be very confusing. If I don't know how we would map this, but yeah, like I think maybe this could be what we would be looking for.
Um, this this might actually be what we're looking for, but I mean, it's basically a key value. Like the bomb ref is the key and the location is the value. So like this does seem like an appropriate field, but it's literally the same thing as the properties.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It seems I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the spec is a little bit unrefined. Um,
Yeah, it's not that old. I mean, Cyclone DX, it's like 1 or 2 years old, so it's very new.
yeah. I get so I think maybe for the time being we could I think we could just move all the mapping over to the container scanning analyzer and have the container scanning analyzer do the mapping you suggested, which is take the Trivy properties and map them to GitLab specific properties. And then from there, we would just change the SBOM source ingestion to be at the component level instead of at the file level. Um, and I think it should be a lot faster to do it this way because my experience so far is if we can avoid doing some of the changes on the Rails side, it's usually a lot faster. So I think there shouldn't be too much work to do the container scanning implementation. Um, but I think we'll need a database review for the Rails side because or actually no, we don't, right? We always do we always ingest one SBOM source right now or for like the file entire file or is it one source per each component still?
It so there's one source for the entire thing, but it shouldn't change the query plan because we do like the bulk insert, which is one item. So I don't think it will change the query if we start ingesting multiple sources.
Okay. Um, I guess do we have to account for space like increased space usage?
No, it's it's just a foreign key, and like the source is like shared data, and it's based on like the file path. And like so if you have 100 different occurrences and they all have the same source, it'll all have a foreign key to the same atom. So I don't think it'll increase the database space like at all.
Okay. Uh, so the reason I ask is because I think usually you'll have from what I've seen on at least on Gymnasium, we have multiple sources because there's like the base image will have multiple packages that are picked up. So for example, if you have the base node image, it has a lot of node packages preloaded already in the global node directory, uh, node modules, sorry. And because of that, I think we'll have more sources that will be ingested. So that's why I was asking. I don't know how many. I have to go back and do the query on how many occurrences we have that are, for example, npm, to see how many new sources we would potentially ingest. Uh, I don't know. Have you run into anything like this on on Thread Insights with, I guess, the table itself becoming too large? Um,
Um, so yeah, if we're doing something like ingesting node modules and then like having a separate source for every single like package.json that's inside node modules, then that could be a very huge growth. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really consider that where we could have like have to recursively scan a big directory tree like that with a bunch of different log files in it.
Okay. I'll go ahead and provide a I'll work on some estimates today for that. I think we should be fine. We should have the data in the database. If for this, I think we should be available. And then we can just, I guess, do a worst case scenario to see how that would look. But overall, I think the plan you suggested makes a lot of sense. First, just do the container scanning analyzer changes to do the mapping instead of the rail side. And then after that, we can do the just update the ingestion so that it starts ingesting these new properties at the component level instead of at the file level. Yeah, and I think from there we can use them. I guess I can show you so far what I have as well in one of my MRs. Uh, so this is the MR that I'm working on, and um, right now it's just taking the properties from the component level. So it'll look for the packager or the input either at the component level properties or at the package sorry at the report level itself. And it does the same thing for the input file path. And then I think that's all it really needs to do because inside of the ingestion itself, let me do a new share. Mm,
Yeah, I think that makes sense to override it on like an individual property basis rather than having like overriding the entire source data. There's just one property on the component.
Yeah, so that then yeah, I think this is like the minimal change we would need because the occurrences because for like dependency level, sorry, for project level and group level dependency the dependency list. Right now, this is using the package manager and the input file path. At like the normal, they're denormalized, right? For just for performance. And then this should still it should do, you should have the same information in both the SBOM source and in the SBOM occurrences this way. Um,
Right, yeah.
okay. Um, okay, so I think this I don't I think this should be fine. The MR I have is already is working. I think I have to do some specs. I can't remember what I last did before I left. But okay. I guess for next steps, I'll update I'll update all of the issues so that we I don't know which one to put it in. But I'll update the issues at least to have a link to a comment discussing like the sync meeting we had. And then I'll also share a link to the recording. And then I'll update the implementation plan so that we have the implementation go to container scanning analyzer instead. And then I'll update my MR and my issue that I was working on so that we ingest the properties from the GitLab properties instead um from the container scanning changes.
Yeah, that sounds good. One thing I'm wondering is the source has a type, and like initially I was thinking that we were gonna have like different source types for each scanner. Like there would be a dependency scanning source and then a container scanning source, because like the structure might be different. And now I'm wondering if that's actually necessary. Like are they gonna have the same data structure for both?
Um, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
It's a little. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
because if they have the same data structure, then we could get rid of the JSON. Like right now, the source is just like a JSON blob. And if they have the same data structure, then we could just have a regular S table and just have columns for each attribute.
Okay. So just have like the input file path be a column, and then the container image be another column,
Yeah,
and
exactly. Like package manager name is a column, input file is a column, uh, source file.
okay. Um,
I think there's one more field that I can't remember what it is.
do you think that would add a lot of complexity to doing this? Like my biggest concern is what will we do with the existing properties? Like we have to do like a batch background migration where we're copying the columns over.
Yeah, we would have to backfill that data. Um, but because it's normalized, it shouldn't be significantly difficult to migrate that data. Like we've had to backfill columns in like the vulnerabilities and the finding tables a lot. And it can take us days to do the background migration because there's like 25 million records. But with sources, there's far fewer, so it shouldn't take so long to do a background migration.
Okay. Um, would you like for me to create a separate issue for this? For denormalize or normalizing, I guess, the tables into their own fields instead of the JSON blob?
Yeah, it would be really great if you could do that. I would love to discuss it with composition analysis and see like if we need to have different fields for like different, like do we need to have different source types? Because if we can just have common properties for the sources, then we can use like a regular data model and get rid of one more JSON B field.
Okay, so all right, I'll create the issue as well for this. Um, I'm gonna name it as a spike issue, and then I'll tag you uh
Okay, that's great.
and
Thank you.
I yeah, no problem. Um, okay, so yeah, the I guess those are the action items that I have is document the meeting, link with like the notes and the recording. I have to do the um I guess like a cost analysis of how much we could potentially incur as far as space um with like node modules and things like that. And then the last one is also create a spike item to discuss the removing the JSON B column and using just regular columns. Is there anything else that you would like for me to add?
No, that sounds great. Thank you for tracking all of that.
Yeah, no problem. Um, yeah, thank you for following up on this. I appreciate you taking a look at it, and I apologize if I created too many issues that
It's
are all
okay. No
similar.
worries.
Um, yeah, yeah, we should have a coffee chat one day. I know I know it's been a while since the last time we had one. I think, yeah, I was looking at my start date and it's like, wow, I'm almost here 2 years and it just feels like the time flew by. I remember when I just started, I had no idea what anything was at.
Yeah, it does. All right,
Cool.
well, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian. Have a nice day.
All right, bye.